In this video, we're going to talk about factoring as a way to simplify. I know you're used to factoring polynomials as a way to solve an equation, maybe factoring as a way to find a common denominator, things like that. But now we're actually going to see how we can use factoring as a way to simplify. So we want to take the result from the last problem, our answer, negative 36x over x to the fourth, minus 36 over x to the fifth. Now we could go further with this simplifying by getting a common denominator and then putting those fractions together into one big fraction. However, I want to show you a different way. The idea is first, let's rewrite this again with negative exponents. And then what we want to do here is we want to simplify this thing by factoring out the GCF for the variables. We're not really too worried about the fact that 36 is a common factor that we could take out of both of those. That's not really going to help us as far as simplifying it. But pulling out a common factor for variables will. Now, you might look at that and say, well, what do you mean common factor for variables? You've got negative exponents there. I haven't ever done that before. All right, we're more used to things like this. All right, 2x squared plus 5xy, where we'd say, oh, we pull an x out because it occurs in both and it's the smallest thing. Y doesn't occur in both, so we don't pull it out. Actually, y does occur in both. You just don't see it because it's actually a y to the 0 power. So we're really pulling a 1 out in terms of the y there, but we are actually still pulling that out. So what you need to remember is when you're factoring out a common factor, we're actually taking the smallest power. So x shows up in both terms there. Smallest power of x that's present is a negative 5. X to the negative fifth. Now how do we factor out an x to the negative fifth? Well, what you have to remember here is that when we factor something out, we're actually dividing it. So what we need to do is take negative 36x to the negative fourth, divide it by that. Okay, and we'll get an answer. Now remember, when we divide with exponents, we subtract. So that'll be negative 4 minus a negative 5. So it becomes negative 4 plus 5 will become positive 1. So we get negative 36x. And then we throw that in there. And then we continue to divide, taking the other thing there, the negative 36x to the negative fifth, and also dividing that by x to the negative fifth. And here the x to the negative fifths will just cancel out, and we just get negative 36. So this will factor as x to the negative fifth times negative 36x minus 36. And then we have just one last step, and that is realizing the thing with the negative exponents. Exponent in it can go to the bottom. So we get the answer negative 36x minus 36 over x to the fifth. Negative 36x minus 36 over x to the fifth. Now this might seem a little bit bulky right now for you because you haven't used this kind of technique before, this idea of taking out negative exponents. It's a little bit new to you, but this is very common. We don't have to do it on this problem, but a little later we're going to be dealing with derivatives using what's called the product rule and the chain rule and the quotient rule. And it turns out a lot of those are going to require us to pull out common factors involving negative or fractional exponents. And so this really is a good time to kind of start practicing this idea.